1811 4000। यही कंज्यूमर हेल्पलाइन।
जागो ग्राहक जागो।
Making the most of a united opposition's first real chance to go hammer and tongs against the UPA, and this in the national capital. A grand BJP rally at Red Fort Maidan blatantly violated restrictions.
हमारे सरकार को, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को देश के गरीब आदमी की चिंता नहीं है। उनको ऑयल कंपनी की हालत दिखती है, पर जनता की खस्ता हालत उनको क्यों नहीं दिखती?
BJP propped up the protest on one end, with the left on the other. None of the usual left parties treating the BJP as untouchables.
Government doesn't care about the impact of this on the people. There's a widespread protest because it's so illogical and irrational. At a time of high inflation, how can you take a step which is going to increase it many-fold over?
The BJP National President Nitin Gadkari was arrested in Delhi along with Sharad Yadav, the JDU President, and this was the scene that was there throughout most cities in India where these protests were happening that were by the NDA. The detained leaders trying to score their political points, and it seems that the message that they've been trying to convey on price rise is finally trickling down to the streets, to the common man.
And naturally enough, BJP and left-ruled states felt it worst. Flights cancelled, trains stalled, marketplaces forced shut, and more. The sheer degree of opposition unity meant most other states felt it hard too.
Finally, the divided opposition did get together on rising prices. And while the UPA remains committed to deregulating fuel prices, the stage is set for a showdown between the Treasury and opposition benches in Parliament later this month.
The show of unity means worries mount for the UPA, though it maintains the aggressive tone, refusing any fuel price pullback, putting up a show of ducking realities and screaming to be heard on the politics of the Bandh.
Except for state-sponsored initiatives in certain states where they are in government and power themselves, there has been a complete flop, a complete negative reaction against the Bandh, not for the Bandh.
The opposition unity today's Bandh could set in motion spells little more than bad news for the UPA all around. With Sanjeev Singh and Ishan Russell, Vishal Dahiya, NewsX.
And let's take you across the major cities around the country and tell you about the drama and action that took place earlier in the day today. In Patna, women activists stopped trains at the Rajendra Nagar terminal. In fact, take a look at these visuals. You see some of the activists even cutting the hose pipes of some of the trains to make sure that they don't run. Meanwhile, private operators suspended bus services, and the Bihar State Transport Corporation also did not ply buses. Schools, colleges and shops have remained shut as well. Let's move to Kolkata now, and there has been a near total shutdown of the city. Few trains, few buses. As far as air travel is concerned, all private airlines have cancelled their operations from Kolkata. BJP activists came out onto the streets to protest price rise. SUCI supporters have also clashed with the police at some places. In Delhi, BJP and left party supporters spilled onto the streets. They blocked the busy ITO intersection this morning. Metro services were also severely disrupted. Bandh supporters also tried to forcibly shut down Khan Market in central Delhi. And in Mumbai, the Bandh had a significant impact. Despite the Congress NCP being in power in the state, BJP workers came down to the railway tracks in Borivali, disrupting suburban train services. Buses in Thane were stopped. 70 buses were even pelted with stones. Private vehicles were also damaged and their tires deflated at several places. 84 flights in and out of Mumbai were also cancelled. Ranchi, Jharkhand saw a wave of protests and blockades during the day. All schools and colleges remained shut. The Bandh also severely affected the running of trains in Jharkhand. Bandh supporters in Dhanabad, for example, forced the cancellation of the Coalfield Express, Black Diamond Express and up and down Shatabdi Express trains. In Chennai, more than 100 activists of left parties were arrested when they tried to disrupt train and road transport. In neighbouring Puducherry, shops have remained shut and private buses were taken off the roads. The Bharat Bandh, spearheaded by the BJP in Rajasthan, was also successful. Mini buses were kept off the roads and schools and colleges remained shut. Later, Vasundhara Raje courted arrest along with state BJP chief Arun Chaturvedi and other leaders at Badi Chopad in the walled city of Jaipur. Protests were also carried out in Gurdaspur, Punjab. Protesters forced shopkeepers to lock their shops and even created violence in the markets and also damaged shops and office of insurance company at Pathankot. And to talk some more about these developments, joining us in the studio is our guest, Sriram Khanna, who is a managing editor of Consumer Voice. He joins us in the Noida studio. Mr. Sriram Khanna, thank you very much for joining us. I think we also have a correspondent, Deborah Gray, standing by from Mumbai, and Ratnadi Chaudhary, who also joins us from the newsroom. Mr. Khanna, my first question to you. This is supposed to be a bandh or a shutdown, which is supposed to show the will of the people. But we've actually seen political parties engaging in intimidation in most places, forcibly shutting down shops and holding blockades. What do you call that?
You see, political parties and their organizational structures are flexing their muscles and doing this customary thumping of the chest to show that the public is against the petrol price hike. And in the same breath, the parties which are sponsoring bandh, their state governments, which have imposed huge taxes on petroleum, have not done anything to bring those taxes down. So there's a bit of double standards. The other thing is the plight of the common man. The daily wage earner, the rickshaw driver, the person who earns, who lives hand to mouth, he is out of work, he's out of money, so he's going to hit the lower income people much more. And what is the point of making shops shut down under intimidation, as has been done in a number? And you will see the pattern that is emerging is that the opposition party ruled states have the bandh which is most effectively enforced. What else do you do when the government itself and the ruling party themselves sponsor the bandh? So that's the very odd situation here, and I don't think this is good for our democracy. It's not a mature way of expressing your. Of course, the constitutional rights are there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a fair point, Mr. Khanna. Hold your thoughts. Let me go across to our correspondent, Deborah Gray, who has been tracking the developments of the bandh from Mumbai. Deborah, the commercial capital of the city undoubtedly will record quite a few losses. It's going to be staggering in number, considering that these political parties have also indulged in acts of vandalism, apart from bringing the city to a standstill.
Absolutely, but more than anything else, it was the fear factor. Instead of people coming out and then facing these acts of vandalism and going back, people just chose to stay at home, which is why even in the morning the rakes were running practically empty. Even right now, I'm at Churchgate railway station, and at around 8 o'clock, this is when the last of the office goers are going home. Even right now, this place is practically deserted. This is where most people alight from taxis and buses and go in through those gates into the Churchgate railway station. But even right now, it's practically deserted. Although, I mean, the bandh is it's been quite a while since the bandh got over.
Deborah, we have seen
political parties left no stone unturned in scoring political.
Right, Deborah, particularly in Mumbai, we do know that parties like the Sena. We do know in Mumbai there have been several political parties like the Sena that actually engage in in violence in these kind of situations. Considering that the Congress NCP combined is at the helm in Maharashtra, why wasn't there proper security deployed to give people a sense of assurance to go about their daily business?
security was deployed. Some 40,000 policemen, also companies of the riot police force, the SRPF were deployed. It's just a fear factor. People were just so scared of coming out. We went all across the city, whether it's outside schools, colleges, railway stations, bus stands, everywhere security was deployed. But schools and multiplexes decided to preemptively, the multiplexes decided to down their shutters. Schools decided to give their students a holiday. This was essentially the fear factor playing out. So more than anything else, it was the fear of the people, because public transport was running on time. There were incidents of stone pelting on buses. Some 67 buses across the state were destroyed. In fact, one bus in Gadchiroli was set on fire.
Right.
But essentially what kept Mumbaikars indoors was the fear factor.
That's quite an irony, isn't that, there, Deborah? People really fearing these kind of shutdowns, and these shutdowns are being carried out in the name of the Aam Aadmi. Let me go across to Ratnadeep, who joins us from the Mumbai newsroom. Ratnadeep, the left parties protesting in this particular bandh, participating for the cause of the Aam Aadmi, the poorest of the poor. Ironically, it'll be a few million poorest of the poor today who will go to bed hungry tonight as a result of this bandh.
Absolutely, Rukmani. Perhaps this is one grey side of the bandh which one has to ponder. But we have been talking to political leaders, not only from left but also from BJP, and somewhere down the line the opposition, which is united on this issue, the clear message is that this bandh is not only about politics. This bandh, clearly they say that this bandh has taken place at a time when all the parties have got together to organize a bandh on the same day, cutting across ideological line. So somewhere government has to look into it. I'm sure that the next session of Parliament, the monsoon session, is around the corner, and the government would be clearly watching out the outcome of this bandh. Rukmani.
Right, let me come back to you, Mr. Khanna. It seems to be, how can political parties who are participating in these kind of bandhs and also incurring huge losses for the exchequer justify their cause, considering they are protesting the hike in fuel prices, which eventually might hit the Aam Aadmi? But has the government been smart in removing subsidies, considering they were paying for it in terms of taxes anyway?
The issue at the core is actually, can Indian companies who are importing crude oil at world prices continue to afford subsidies? The finance minister said it can't go on forever, and therefore they withdrew a part of that and allowed the companies to increase the prices. In the long run, let's understand, in the long run, the public will have to pay the cost. Okay, you may subsidize it for a few years, as we have done for several years now. The time has now come for letting the costs determine prices rather than artificial subsidies. Of course it is going to hurt, but those people who are sponsoring the strike in their own state governments, for example in Karnataka, there are huge taxes, state imposed taxes on petroleum prices. Have they been reduced? They have not been reduced, because that shows they are not serious about the demand. The second question I want to say is, your correspondent has said very clearly a few minutes ago from Mumbai that most people have shut their shops and offices because they are scared of violence. And Mumbai has a record that Sena and other activists will actually come and vandalize offices and shops. And I want to draw the attention of your viewers to the recent decision of the Mumbai High Court, where it ordered the Shiv Sena leaders who organized a bandh and caused violence and damaged property to compensate. Now, this is the kind of role which high courts are expected to play. Who is going to pay for the damage? Are the political parties going to reimburse or compensate those who are going to be losing their property and their work? I'm sorry, this is irresponsible behavior.
And also, Mr. Khanna, how does the Aam Aadmi, how do people really hold these political parties accountable, considering they're really conducting the shutdown and the violence that goes along with it, the vandalism? We just saw people actually cutting
hose pipes. We can see it right now.
And this is public property. Yeah. All this is being done in the name of the Aam Aadmi.
See, this is
it's absolutely absurd.
This is the difficulty. Our political leaders and their parties are accountable to no one, in respect of their behavior, in respect of what they do in public life, and the Election Commission is able to regulate them only in a certain sphere. But this kind of conduct is not desirable. Of course, you are doing it because you have constitutional rights to demonstrate. There is the freedom of speech and expression which the Constitution guarantees us. But that does not mean that instead of using legitimate means, I mean, for example, if all this was voluntary and there was no intimidation and coercion, and people shut their offices and shops without fear of violence, that would be another matter. And that did happen in our democracy many times in the past. So I would like to say that today is a very bad day. Some people may be very happy that we have shut so many shops and offices, but eventually it is going to cause loss to the productivity, to the economic life of the country, and is going to take away earnings from daily wage workers, and of course the only brownie points who are going to be earned by the opposition parties, and they are disparate lot from red to the yellow and from whatever color to the other.
Right, that's an important point you make, Mr. Khanna. It seems to be more about political posturing than the will of the people. We'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much for joining us with your insights. Thank you, Deborah and Ratnadeep, for joining us.